The objective today is to install and set up your Creation Kit environment for basic Skyrim modding. So I'll be honest, right from the beginning, this is more of a lesson to teach my students how files and folders work and the concept of a plugin. It's more a lesson about that than actually modding a video game, though doing it through the medium of modding a video game such as Skyrim, I thought was just a great approach. So here's the table of contents. First, I'm just going to give you the basics, and then I'll give you two options to download this creation kit. It depends on if you're using the special edition or the original of Skyrim. Then we're going to dive deeply into file knowledge. I'll tell you what plugins are, and then at the end here, you'll get started on your own system. So to learn this all on your own, you could go to creationkit.com and begin the tutorials. That's basically what I did to learn how to do this. And of course, Bethesda has actually released quite a few videos walking you through the process of modding using Creation Kit. Now, Creation Kit seems to be just one option. You can also use Nexus Mod. There's other tools out there you could use to mod, but I think Creation Kit is a really good one. So like I mentioned before, there are two versions of the Creation Kit depending on if you have the original version of Skyrim or if you have the special edition version. If you have the original, you'll want to have a Steam account to do this. And of course the original version of Skyrim on that Steam account. You'll log in, hover over the library button, select Tools, double-click Skyrim Creation Kit in the list, and then follow the instructions from there. For the special edition people, you'll go to Bethesda.net and go ahead and follow these instructions. You can pause the video here, and if we're doing this in class, you can ask for my help. So understanding the Creation Engine data format. The Creation Engine uses the same data format as previous Bethesda Game Studio titles, such as Fallout. You have what's called master files, which use the .esm, maybe M for master. These are large collections of data. So Skyrim.esm is the master file, which contains all the data used by the base game. So those smaller data files, these are plugins or .esp files. Maybe think P for plugins. And these are smaller collections of data which can be loaded on top of the master files. These plugins may modify or reference data contained within the master file, or they may introduce entirely new data. Multiple plugins may be loaded by the game or editor, and when working in the Creation Kit, only one plugin may be considered the active file. So to mod Skyrim, you'll be creating a plugin. When the editor starts up for the first time, that's the Creation Kit editor. Okay, to get started, navigate to File, then Data. You'll double-click the Skyrim.esm master file for loading, and then double-click the Updates.esm master file, so both of them should have that X on the box. And this process may take a while, so be patient. And this would be a great time while you're patiently waiting for that to understand more about plugins. What is a plugin? It is a piece of software that extends or changes an application. The application must support the ability to write plugins, so that needs to exist in the first place. The original creator of whatever that application would determine that ability. And now you might be thinking, those extensions you have on Chrome or Mozilla are examples of plugins? Well, they're similar. Your browser is now supporting the ability to do something. You know, a lot of you have Grammarly on your Chrome. Or you might have Stylish, so you can make different web pages look whatever color you'd like. But according to this blogger I like, he goes in detail about the difference. And I just love the name Kernel Panic. And this is an older blog, by the way, 2010. So he goes on to say, overloaded terms. One of the least understood concepts in the browser plugin world is browser plugins, what they are, and even more, what they are not. Probably at least once a week I answer a question somewhere on a forum or on the comments in this blog and say, you can't do that with a plugin, you need an extension. Many people confuse plugins and extensions in the browser world. They sound like they should be the same thing, but in fact they are very different. A plugin is quite simply a third-party library that plugs in, so it's a library being plugged into a browser, and this can be embedded inside a web page using an embed tag or an object tag. Many of them then draw pretty pictures or animations, though that's not required, and many allow you to talk to them through JavaScript, though that's not required either. In short, a plugin affects only a specific page in which it is placed. So examples of common plugins include Flash, Microsoft Silverlight, Apple QuickTime, Adobe Reader. These are all plugins. So later down here, though, he says extensions or add-ons can often do these magical things, and they can add onto the browser UI process pages that the browser loads. They do all sorts of things. However, they are not the same thing as plugins. They affect the web browser itself, not really the page. Okay, so he goes on to make his case. I think at the end of the day, though, it's not a big deal to confuse these two. But let's go ahead and refocus here on the .esp type plugins we're talking about in a creation kit. It says, since you have no active plugins, so you have no .esp file specified, the creation kit will prompt you to create a new one. And for this series of tutorials, and I'm copying this straight from that tutorial page I found on creationkit.com, go ahead and create a file called testquest.esp. So we're talking quite a bit about files, and in the tutorial it says if you wish to make a backup of your plugin file or install one from another source, you will find the plugins in the data subfolder or wherever Steam is installed on your hard drive. So then it says for a 64-bit it's here, and then for 32-bit it's here. Notice the difference. If you don't understand the difference between 64 and 32, I have a great video explaining that. But everything seems to be the same. So we have data /Skyrim /common, and the backslashes continue all the way up into the top of the directory where it says either program files or program files with an x86 next to it. Remember, x86 is the identification for a 64-bit system, and we're typically talking about Intel. And notice in my picture here, my backslash is maybe a front slash. It's the opposite of this one. Well, that's a great way to tell the difference between a Linux, or in this case, a Unix operating system compared to a Windows operating system. Windows does this direction, Unix does that direction. But in both operating systems, you'll have root directories. These are the largest folders that exist on your computer. So once you have Creation Kit open, you'll be able to see things like this. Remember, you click that box in the beginning of the lesson. Now, the person who I snagged this photo from had created his own plugin called Loki's Tomb. And there's a great summary with some timestamp information down here. Here's another screenshot of somebody creating plugins. And it looks like this is a different version of Creation Kit because of the different color. But one thing you'll want to make sure of is once you start your modding and you have something ready to go, to click that Set Active file. So how do you create these mods? Well, you have a slew of folders here with objects inside of them. So once you say open up items and then go down to miscellaneous item, maybe open that up, you have some more choices, and here are all the choices. These are the images that you can manipulate to create your modification. So I didn't see any way to modify the code of Skyrim in terms of the action. Maybe that's just beyond me. And like I said, I wanted this lesson to mostly be about the concept of folders, files, and plugins, and get students interested and not afraid at all of modding video games themselves. So if you're sitting in class and we have the ability to download this creation kit, let's go ahead and do that. Or you could just explain the process you would use to begin modding video games such as Skyrim.